I can't fully wait. Welcome to Evan Says. There's a lot to say today. Again, evansays.live for episodes, social media, at Evan Wecksell, support my books and all that. But a lot of things happened this week for where I went and to things going on in the world. And it all falls under what I talk about on Evan Says. So here we go. I went to a concert on Wednesday. It was the first concert I took my older child to. It was the Maximum Fun Tour. I had the Wonder Years, I had Yellowcard, and I had A Day to Remember. Yellowcard, probably one of my all-time favorite jams. Just this band brings the energy. Love it. Now, let me give you a rundown of what this show was like. I went to Ontario, Toyota Arena, pretty good, about 8,000, 9,000 people maybe in the venue. I don't know. So Wonder Years, I guess, although I don't want me. I want me instead. I don't want them. Anyway, Wonder Years came out. They were the first act. And, you know, I knew a couple of their songs. I listened to the Emo Project a lot on Sirius XM. Crazy energy. Like, I think all these bands, you know, they've been around and they know each other. They've been around for about 20 years. And all of them are crazy energy. Like, I don't know how their pipes hold up the way they scream and shriek so much. Like Wonder Years, it's like they were a really talented band that I know they're from Philadelphia, Lansdale. I know they seem like a kind of band that would have started in college and they just kind of hung out and they kind of did their thing. And they were into it. They were into what they were doing. And I thought the songs were great. They definitely led to some good moshing for some of their fans. Obviously, it's the first band. And there was actually supposed to be a band in front of them, but didn't make it because of like visa issues. So they got a couple more songs. And I thought Wonder Years, great job. Brought the energy. Threw a little bit of their politics at the end. Fine. The crowd loved it. So that was them. Second up was Yellowcard. Yellowcard has been around for about 20 years, but they took a break, I'd like to say like 10 years ago, because I saw them at the Novo in downtown LA probably like 10 years ago. They took a break, and then a few years ago, they started coming back. They had an EP that came out, and they just released Better Days, which is like their first full album since they came back. These guys are like super fun, melodic. And I don't know, there's just something about them here. There's just something about them that, like, they're relentless. Like, I feel like them as a show were relentless. But the cool thing about their act at the show, their presentation is more of like a throwback, 80s movies throughout. Definitely have Blockbuster Video as a setting for one of their music videos. It's very nostalgic. They had a nostalgic feel to their show. Like their opening song was technically the theme from Top Gun. Like the guy just came out, the lead guitarist just came out and shredded it. And of course, what makes them stand out is that they have a violin player almost as like what the lead guitarist would do. And that just makes them unique. But they broke out Top Gun. In between songs, they had E.T. They had Back to the Future sample. They had the lead singer, I think, holding up the boombox. I think that's Pretty in Pink. I think that's the movie, John Hughes movie, I think. And they're great. I think the crowd, they moshed during Wonder Years a little bit. Then they were very melodic and like loved the music of Yellowcard. Like they came out with Only One to start the set. They closed it with Ocean Avenue. Iconic. Everyone knows it. Everyone's singing it. Great show. But next is A Day to Remember. This was pretty much a Day to Remember show because it felt like I'd say 60% of the people there were really there for Day to Remember. I would say maybe 35% of the people there were Yellowcard, and maybe just like the 5 remnants were maybe for the other bands or just to be at a good show. Like it was a hard rock punk emo show. Day to Remember is like the bar band that just goes hard and heavy. Like that's their gimmick. Like their lead singer, I think Jeremy McKinnon is his name. He sounds very good as a lead vocalist. And like all the bands very thankful, very appreciative, and can command the room. Not just be like a little introverted when they sing, and like these guys are like in your face lyricists. So like the cool thing about Yellowcard, relentless melody after melody after melody. Sometimes it's hard to like, sometimes the songs blended together because Yellowcard played no ballads. They just went upbeat, 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 upbeat. I think Keeper was the most melodic, like softest one they did. Day to Remember comes out. It's basically like getting punched in the face. And you see that if you ever go to a Day to Remember show, big mosh circles, crowd surfing, someone standing on someone else's shoulders like they're standing up and like throwing their fist. I will try to post some extra things on social media. I'll try to make a little collage. That's why you should follow my social media for this, to see some of the images and the videos. My son got some views singing Light Up the Sky. He knew that. He recognized it paid off to get tortured by Yellowcard in the car with his dad. It helped that he knew now these songs, and it paid off for him. I think he was a little tired with the Day to Remember, but there's a song by Day to Remember, All My Friends, which my 3-year-old knows by heart, and enjoyed watching us record it. And that was the only song I think my older one knew, and he kind of wanted to just wanted to get out of there after Yellowcard. But Day to Remember, they pump you up. The way Jeremy conducts himself on stage, it's kind of like he's like about to like spit a rap. He's about to lecture to you. He has like the way he moves is kind of like he's trying to like scare you straight, or he just wants to have a good time, or he just wants to break out some vocals. Cause like they just, man, some of their stuff, you know, I've seen, they remind me of Madonna in a certain way. Cause Madonna had like these satanic kind of like elements to her live show where I'm like, okay, she might actually be worshiping some evil things. And Day to Remember's like, we're going to mention these evil things just because we think they're cool. I don't know if they endorse that stuff, but they go hard and heavy. That's their thing. They're like, it sounds like half their songs, they're very like, you know, they have good choruses. The other half of their songs sound like they really have pent up anger at their mom, and they're yelling at their mom for the entire song. Nothing wrong with that. It resonated with the audience. Who doesn't want to once in a while yell at their mom? Not me. But and it's kind of interesting also. Yellowcard, Day to Remember, both had fire as like, you know, stage pyro coming up once in a while. You know, Yellowcard mixes it in with great timing. Wonder Years uses lighting, great timing. But it feels like when the Day to Remember breaks out the lighting, it's like, oh my gosh, they're going to set us on fire. Like the way the crowd just like got into it from the get-go with like Downfall of Us All, it reminded me of like 20 years ago. I went to a K-Rock show, 92.3 K-Rock, New York. Korn. It was one of those all-day things, and Korn, Korn, was one of the acts. And the way the audience just like kind of it bobbed, like headbanged along to them, it felt like some hardcore ritual. And Day to Remember has that intensity. They have the intensity of some hardcore ritual going on during their music. But one thing I did like that Day to Remember did is I think there's a song called LeBron, and they bring out inflatable basketball hoops. So it's kind of like Space Jam. They put inflatable basketballs in the crowd, and the crowd, one side of the crowd on the floor gets to shoot at one hoop, the other shoots at the other hoop, and it's like a nice little contest. So I do like that they mix kind of the games of things with the just aesthetics of the presentation they created. But you know, the imagery of Day to Remember on the screen behind him is like, this is a volcano that's about to go off. So if you want a show that's like that, go see a Day to Remember, because I'm guessing they want their shows to be a Day to Remember, even if some of their songs are about friends and boozing with friends. Fine. But there were enough good things there, and I think they had that acoustic song at the end. If It Means a Lot to You, I think that's the one. Which that was really cool. I knew where they were going with some of their songs, and I remember just watching them a little bit on like iTunes. I'll go in and I'll sample a lot of bands' songs before I go see a show. So I thought that was really cool. All right, so that's my Maximum Fun Tour review. I very abbreviated. I just wanted to get on to do a little bit of a few things. Another thing that's big that just happened is that Bon Jovi announced that they're going back on tour. They're now quote unquote tour. Now, I think obviously John lives in Jersey a lot of the time. So his tour is going to be 4 shows at Madison Square Garden in July. And now, great, 4 shows in a week. That's what he wants to know. He's like, can I do this? Can I do 2.5 hours, 4 nights a week? So this is our chance to really see that. Then he'll take a month and a half off. He'll do a few shows in I have the ticker across, because technically his Forever album is out now with all the collaborations. So that's what's going on. But this is obvious now to coincide with this Forever tour. So in July, he hits MSG for 4 shows, pre-sale tickets out soon. And for late August and early September, he hits a stadium in the UK, in Dublin, and Wembley Stadium. He goes back to Wembley. I remember in like 30 years ago, Wembley for the These Days tour was pretty awesome. So that's where he is right now. Now can I get me? This is him. So that's where he is. And we are going to have big Bon Jovi this summer. Check it out if you can. I mean, who knows what the prices are of the tickets? Probably going to sell out fast. People might be skeptical about his voice. But I think he feels confident enough and he's put enough time where he's only going to get better. I think his improvement and his work ethic of like singing to himself, with himself, practicing 2 hours a day, like that will basically overcome whatever Father Time would try to do to someone's voice. I feel like he's basically out creating any kind of difficulties he would have vocally. I think he's the worst vocally is behind him. He did a live stream of a few songs. The new stuff sounds good. Obviously, it's hard to sing maybe some of the older material because the voice was just different 25 years ago or 40 years ago. But if you can still get the melody and if people are still singing along, people just want the memory. So if you can present some semblance of that, you should go see a Bon Jovi show this summer. Okay, now usually that's my Bon Jovi part. I want to do a little bit of Bon Jovi, but then there's something else. I'm not going to read the specifics of the story, but NBA gambling scandal. Apparently, there was a coach, Chauncey Billups, and there was a player, Terry Rozier, and there was a former assistant, Damon Jones. And there's a lot of like insidious, like criminal stuff going on between like basically hurting the integrity of the sport. Now, the thing about a scandal like this is because so much of what's going on right now in the world of sports is gambling based. Viewership is very high for the NFL, not just because the sport is so good, but because fantasy football is so easy to play. And football is a one game a week sport. It's so easy to follow. So that has raised the interest of sports. But now you throw in gambling, where there's all these different ways to have parlays and prop bets and spreads and over unders. And, you see this stuff on the ticker watching your regular sports. You have all these commercials going on during all kinds of sporting events and sponsorships and everything. So when a big scandal like this happens about the NBA, the people that are talking sports who happen to be having sponsors behind them of these kinds of endeavors get a little not interesting, I would say. They don't fully want, it's like they feel like they don't want to bite the hand that feeds them. Because yes, maybe FanDuel has nothing to do with this NBA scandal, but they're in the same business, and that their product is convincing people to put money down for this event. And obviously reporting on a scandal about gambling is not going to be the way to go when, what it's like when you watch the news. Most of the ads are pharmaceutical ads on the news commercials. You're not going to see the news saying bad things about pharmaceuticals if pharmaceuticals are buying all the ad time. Just like you're not going to hear a lot of bad things about the dangers of gambling during a sports show when there's a scandal, but the sponsors are the gambling sites. So there's a certain bit of playing it off as we're not responsible, but but you guys should be responsible. And how dare you guys get involved in gambling while we're giving you all these commercials about gambling and encouraging you to gamble and giving you our promo code to join FanDuel or DraftKings. Like, it's just a mess. See, it's this gambling, it can be a slippery slope. When you're introducing something into sports that's not more sports, you are making that sport worse. It is a degradation of the sport. Like, you do not want to get involved in something where when they have the commercial at the end, there's a word that says that's followed by responsibly. Like, you watch all those beer commercials during the Super Bowl, but drink responsibly. You know, you're watching the NBA and then FanDuel comes on. Gamble responsibly. Can't have it both ways. So what the sports media people come up against is like, what is their ethic? How ethical are they on this? Like, it's not my problem, it's their problem. We're just here reading what's in front of us. Or is it, oh my gosh, do we need to be connected? Like, they can't, it's hard to come to the realization, like, should we really be connected with all this? Because there's only going to be more gambling scandals like this coming out. Like, the fact that you get so in the mud with this kind of stuff, like, there's just so much more potential for getting in the mud with all these opportunities of people thinking, yeah, quick money, easy money. I just want to prove I'm right. I want to make sure this team covers. I want to pick this team to win. I want to win my pool. Like, these are all, it's a bigger issue. It's a bigger ethical issue where the thought process on this is, if I can just make money being smart about sports. We all want to be right. We all want to be, how right can we be? We can predict the future. And if we're good at predicting the future, I'm going to keep predicting the future. But not all of us are Biff Tannen from Back to the Future 2. We have no almanac. And with all this gambling stuff, you have to realize, now, have I been tempted to take advantage of like some intro offers on gambling sites? Sure, a little bit. But, you know, where do you end? Like, you know, the purpose of this is to get more customers. And if you get more customers, then more customers, it's just, you get more stuck in it. And you're not in a sport now. Now you're up against yourself, like getting things right. And it's not about the sport anymore. So when you have a story where you've got coaches or players trying to get inside information and the mob is involved, this is pretty gross, like pretty sordid stuff. So that's all I'll say. Obviously, I'm not going to tell anyone what to do, but do you feel better after you place a bet and win, or place a bet and lose? Like, if you win, you just think, oh, maybe I'm just going to win again. But if you lose, you're like, oh, maybe the next time I'll get right. That's the thing. That's why you shouldn't bet on sports. It's tough enough just being a Jets fan. So just practice moderation. Keep the way of making money not relying on chance. I guess my main advice here, and I'll wrap this up. This is kind of a very, very, I guess, philosophical thought is, you know, trust in yourself. Don't trust in getting things right with gambling. And if you want to sprinkle out some disposable income on stuff, you're better off contributing like to a nonprofit than like dropping $100 on thinking you're going to get something right. I'm just saying, do something where maybe at least you can get like a tax write-off out of it. You know what I'm saying? So, good concert this Wednesday and Day to Remember. Yellowcard was great. Day to Remember, intense. Wonder Years, great. Bon Jovi's back. They're going to be on stage before you know it. And sports gambling stories, there's only going to be more. So you got to watch out for each other. Don't dip your toe in that gambling pool. Too much people get very antsy when these kinds of stories come out, because a lot of people have been there's different levels of this. Obviously, this NBA scandal is the highest level you can get, but there's probably other people in lower harmonic, lower level of stickiness in gambling situations. Cut it off, man. Best way to make money: produce from yourself, invest in yourself, stay off the betting. All right. That's what I say. This is Evan Says. See you soon. Oh, let me end with, this is me when I saw A Day to Remember, like 10 years ago, opening for Blink 182, and my wife was filming this. They're such bros. So good. This was at Willow Casinos in Vegas. I showed you enough. And thanks for checking out. Evan Says. Subscribe, like, share, all kinds of good stuff coming out here. And let's see what I say next. Bye, people.